Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Armageddon. We're going to try our hand at another Bloomburrow draft. Before I get started, I just want to mention that my brother, who's also a YouTube content creator, has been shouting at my channel on his videos, so I feel like I should return the favor. So I'm going to include the link to his channel in the description below. Anyway, let's start the draft and see what we open. Okay, so pack one, pick one. We have a strong rare in Osteomancer Adept. It's also in black, which is one of the strongest colors in Bloomburrow. The strongest color, depending on who you ask. Some good green cards in Hive Spine Wolverine at Uncommon and Overprotect. Fireglass Mentor is great in the Lizards deck. You don't usually want to start with a gold card, although if it's a powerful enough rare mythic, then it's probably worth it. Pawn Profit is a key part of the Blue-Green Frogs deck. And there's a few other good cards as well, some removal in Banishing Light, Polywallop, Bumbleflower Sharepot, although that's pretty slow. But I think it's Osteomancer Adept is the clear pick for us. Now, Osteomancer Adept can go into any black deck, but what we're really hoping to do is to go into black-green Swirls. Okay. Pick two. Our Mythic Storm Splitter I don't think is very strong. It's kind of hard to go off with it. And red and blue, which is the deck it wants to be in, are the two weakest colors in Bloomburrow. Stargaze or Persistent Marshstalker would be good. Persistent Marshstalker is a reason to get into rats. So we could take that. It's also black to go with our Osteomancer Adept. I think the Harvest Right Host is good enough that we speculate on white. Because it can go pretty much into any white deck, although it's best in green-white rabbits. And Stargaze is fine, but apparently not the greatest card in black. Okay. Downwind Ambusher has proven to be an overperformer. Usually creatures that you flash in and that destroy a creature that was dealt damage this turn aren't very strong, but its other ability to give a creature -1/-1 until end of turn gets it over the top. And I think I like it over Cruel Claw's Heist. You want to be affecting the board on the early turns, not playing a discard spell. Certainly in draft. Seasoned Warren Guard, you kind of already want to be in rabbits to take that. Heartfire Hero would also be a good pick, but I think Downwind Ambusher is of at least a similar power level, and it's in a color that we already have a powerful card for, so I think that's our pick here. Okay. This is not a particularly exciting pack. I don't have any non-creature spells for Coruscation Mage, although that is a good card in red. This is a bit early to be taking a Rabbit Response or a Bravekin duo. None of these cards are particularly what I want to be seeing. If I do end up in a go-wide deck, Rabbit Response is a great finisher. So I think I'll take that here, since it goes with Harvest Right Host. Okay. Tidecaller Mentor is fine. I'm not sure if you would consider splashing it. Brazen Collector is a good red card, although the white cards we have don't really lend themselves to the white-red mice deck. I could take Boned by an Orator, but I think Brazen Collector is powerful enough to take it here. Okay, again, not a particularly exciting pack. Eleni's Pathmaker is a good follow-up to Brazen Collector. Corpseberry Cultivator is only good in black-green, and you kind of only want to take it once you're already in that color. Sugarcoat is fine, but not really exciting. I think it's Heaped Harvest. Okay. Here, I think it's between Lupin Flower Village and Nettleguard. Lupin Flower Village doesn't help cast Rabbit Response, and we don't have that many creatures to search for with its abilities, so I think it's Nettleguard, which works with our Harvest Right host. Or, sorry, no, it doesn't, because it's not a rabbit. But it does work because you can target it with Harvest Right host's ability. Another pretty weak pack. Mind Spiral is fine in black-blue, which maybe makes me think I should have taken the black-blue Signpost Uncommon there. I think it's enough better than Fountain Port Bell to take it. Daring Wave Rider is good, although we currently don't have a lot of spells that we can cast with it. But I think it's strong enough that it's the pick here over pretty much nothing else. This is also not very exciting. If we do end up in blue-black, Mind Drill Assailant is probably better than Sky Skipper Duo. This doesn't really matter. I've got all of these, so I'll take the Raccoon Rallier in case we end up in red. I'll just take this for my collection. Lily Pad Village. We probably won't play. It's not really good in blue. Okay. We opened Dream Dew Entrancer, which is one of the best rares in the set. So that is a pull into blue-green. It's also splashable. So we could still be a green or different green or blue color pair. And even though it is a gold card, I think it's miles ahead of pretty much everything else in the pack. So I think it's our pick here. We'll be taking blue-green creatures. Oh, maybe we're blue-black or green-black. Feed the Cycle and Fell. Both of these are strong. I think because Fell is instant speed, we take it here. There's also Intrepid Rabbit. But I think my black cards are stronger than my white cards enough that it's the pick here. Okay. Another disappointing pack. We don't have enough token production for the common good to be good, and I'm not sure it's really that good anyway. We could take Builder's Talent and then try to build around it. So I think that's our pick. Helga Skittish Seer. Would be kind of a commitment to a color pair involving green, white, and blue, and two of those colors. But I think it's the best card in the pack, so I'll take it. Okay. Stocking the Pantry. I actually am in a sealed league being run by another content creator with Stocking the Pantry in my deck, and it's won me a few games. But it's really not very good if you can't enable it, and it's too slow for draft. Long River Lurker, however, is a good card, especially in blue-green. So we're going to be looking for creatures with good enter the battlefield abilities that we can bounce with Long River Lurker. Okay, Bushy Bodyguard. That is a strong green card. We could take the Bumbleflower Sharepot to go with the Builder's Talent, but I think Bushy Bodyguard is better, and it's in a color that we want to be in. Okay, Pond Prophet is... Splash Portal would also be nice, but you want to have the creatures to bounce Blink with Splash Portal before you take it. So I think it's Pond Prophet. Pond Prophet is exactly what we're looking for. Heaped Harvest makes it easier to splash and also works with the Bushy Bodyguard. It's not the strongest card, but I think it's our best pick here. Okay, nothing really exciting. We only have one rat for Persistent Marstalker. So maybe it's just some card draw. These are all pretty mediocre, but Shore Up, we can get back with the Daring Wave Rider, and that maybe protects a key creature. Dire Downdraft is playable. Seedpod Squire could get in the deck. Fountainport Bell works with Builder's Talent. Okay. Zorline Cosmos Collar is powerful, but I think despite having Builder's Talent, we don't really have... Our white cards aren't as powerful as some of our other cards. I think the best card for us is Polywallop. We have 4 frogs, so there's a good chance that Polywallop will get a discount. Valley Rotcaller. I have 2 squirrels, 1 rat, so not really able to nail it. I think Shoreline Looter is our pick. I'd also take Splash Portal, but Shoreline Looter is a reason to go into blue because it's just such a powerful card. So we'll take that here. So we might not be playing black. Another Shoreline Looter. There's also Thought Stalker Warlock and Saver, which are great cards in black, especially the Thought Stalker Warlock. But I think we're pretty unlikely to play black, except maybe as a splash. So I think it's another Shoreline Looter. Treeguard Duo is also fine. I don't think we want another Heaped Harvest. Okay, Calamitous Tide is a powerful effect, but it's probably too slow. Runaway Together, I think, goes great with our Pond Prophet. Now, we are in pack 3, so I don't know how many more of those I'm going to pick up. Hazard Root Herbalist, I think is okay in Green-White Rabbits, but not for us. I think it's another Polywallop for us. Gossip's Talent could actually be good for us. So I think we take that here. Another Pearl of Wisdom would be nice to go with the Daring Wave Rider. But I think I like another Polywallop. Um, Night Whirl Hermit, Light Shell Duo, those could make the cut as larger blockers. I do have lots of non-creature. Oops, timed out there. Should have been a little more careful. I guess I'll take Stormcatch Mentor for the collection. Thought Chucker. Honestly, I think I take another Fountain Port Bell. And Tempest Angler, I don't think we play, but it's playable. Okay. So with this many cards in different colors, I think we're going to need to think this through carefully. So we'll cut everything for now. If I had known the direction I was going in, I would have taken Pawn Prophet first pick over the Osteomancer Adept. So what do we have that works with Builder's Talent? We have Gossip's Talent. Two Heaped Harvests. Two Fountain Port Bells. And it is good value to recur Heaped Harvest or a Fountain Port Bell from the graveyard with Builder's Talent. And both Fountain Port Bell and Heaped Harvest let us make it easier for us to maybe play Builder's Talent, even if we're not base white, which we aren't because we don't have that many white cards. So we could consider splashing Helga and Builder's Talent. So we'll cut those for now. Then let's look at our blue-green cards. Go to this view so you can see the cards better. I don't think I want Lily Pad Village, especially with a card like Shore Up, because if Lily Pad Village is our only blue source, Shore Up doesn't do anything. So these are the cards I'd consider in blue-green. So in order to make playables, we'd have to play either some of the mediocre, like Mind Drill Assailant or Night Whirl Hermit or Tempest Angler, and a Fountain Port Bell or two. What do I have that synergizes with Daring Wave Rider? We have Dire Downdraft, 3 Polywallops, Pearl of Wisdom, Runaway Together, and Shore Up. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Shore Up, not really great with Daring Wave Rider because, of course, Daring Wave Rider is a sorcery speed play, and Shore Up you want to be holding up at instant speed. So it's really more like 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's good enough for Daring Wave Rider. With Daring Wave Rider, Dream, Dew, Entrancer, Pond, Prophet, and Pearl of Wisdom, maybe we don't need Mind Spiral, because it is rather slow, although drawing 3 cards is pretty nice. But we can't get it back with Daring Wave Rider, so there is that. We could really use another Pond Prophet. The Sun Shower Druid, that's the 1 mana creature that puts a +1/+1 counter on any creature you control and gains you life, would also be nice. I think we want Gossip's Talent as a repeatable way of blinking our creatures. It's especially great with Dream Dew Entrancer, because we can attack with Dream Dew Entrancer, make it unblockable, and then blink it either to stun, say, our Pond Prophet and draw more cards, or start stunning the opponent's creatures so that our other creatures can start getting in. Curving Pond Prophet into Long River Lurker also feels pretty nice. Splashing is not the most advisable in Bloomburrow Draft, but I feel like some of the cards we could splash are powerful enough that it's worth trying. So we could splash Builder's Talent in which case we're also playing the Fountain Port Bells. And then Helga, and that could be our white splash. And then we only need one more card to have a deck. I could consider shaving a land to go down to 16 lands because Fountain Port Bell is kind of like a land. So in that case, we would need to add two more cards. Do we want to splash another color? I'm not sure how advisable that is. Although Feed the Cycle and any of my black cards would be decent splashes. Gossip's Talent is also important. Triggers Builder's Talent, and it's also important because it's a win condition, because it makes one of our creatures unblockable. In the Lords of Limited podcast, where they talked about building around the various talent class cards, they did mention that Night Whirl Hermit is a good fit with Builder's Talent, because you can stack a bunch of +1/+1 counters on it, and then there's usually not that much trouble putting cards in your graveyard. I mean, for example, we've got two Fountain Port Bells and two Heaped Harvests that naturally end up in the graveyard. And then it becomes a massive unblockable threat with Vigilance, so it stays back on defense. So maybe if we're splashing Builder's Talent, Night Whirl Hermit makes the cut. I think it's a bit ambitious to splash four colors, or two colors. So maybe we just stick to Helga and Builder's Talent. And then we want to play either Mind Spiral. Seed Pod Squire is also good with Gossip's Talent because you can attack with it and a creature with power 3 or less, and arrange the triggers such that Gossip's Talent triggers first so that the creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked, and then you buff its power with Seed Pod Squire. And it is an evasive threat, which we might need to help us close out the game. It's also a creature spell with mana value 4 or greater to synergize with Helga. That also makes Mind Drill Assailant more interesting. How many creatures do we have with mana value 4 or greater? 4. I'm not sure what I would cut to make room for Mind Drill Assailant, and it is probably the most mediocre creature. So maybe we just stick with the 4 creatures for Helga. Anyway, if I include Mind Drill Assailant, I'm having to cut a card that either works with Daring Wave Rider or Builder's Talent. Shore Up could be in consideration because it doesn't really go with Daring Wave Rider, and Bushy Bodyguard could be an option, although it is powerful as a 2-drop that can be a 4/3 that also comes with a 3/3. So I'm not sure. I think Bushy Bodyguard is too powerful to cut. I think Shore Up of our instants and sorceries is it would be good protection for some of our key creatures, but I think that that is the card that makes the most sense to cut for Mind Drill Assailant. And Mind Drill Assailant gives us another creature with mana value 4 or greater to trigger Helga. And I think we want to enable our synergies as much as possible without sacrificing too much power. So I think it is shore up, because it isn't really work with Daring Wave Rider, even though it is a spell Daring Wave Rider can get back from the graveyard. Alright. Whoops. I could also consider Tempest Angler, since I do have 12 non-creature spells, but I think I prefer a creature who synergizes with Helga. So even though the Mind Drill Assailant is probably worse than the Tempest Angler, I think it's the pick. Mind Drill Assailant is also a decent mana sink in the late game, and it enables our Shoreline Looters. Oh yes, I forgot about our Shoreline Looters. They're another reason why we don't really need Mind Spiral. Okay, so we'll play Mind Drill Assailant. Make Helga our box art. So now we just need to add lands, and we're ready to go. So I'll do that off camera, and then we'll get into some. I'll show off the deck, I should say, and then we'll get into some games. So here's a look at our deck. I think it does have some weaknesses. First of all, it's splashing, and splashing is not as good in Bloomburrow as it has been in other sets. You tend not to win as often if you splash, just because the decks really want to be synergized two-color decks. Second of all, it must be admitted that we don't enable our synergies the best. We only have a few creatures with mana value 4 or greater to go with Helga. We only have a few instants and sorceries with mana value 4 or less to go with Daring Wave Rider. We only have a few non-creature, non-land permanents to go with Builder's Talent. So I'm not sure if this deck has what it takes to go all the way to 7 wins, but I'll be happy if we can at least get a even record of 3-3. So that's what we'll try for as we head into the gameplay. Okay, what do we think of this hand? We're on the draw, which is something of a drawback, and this is a slow hand. Long River Lurker doesn't really do much by itself, so our first play would be Heaped Harvest, which we don't even really want to play until after we play Builder's Talent, but we need to play Heaped Harvest in order to be able to play Builder's Talent. And then Runaway Together, we need a creature to use with, and Long River Lurker is fine to bounce with Runaway Together, but as we said, we don't want to play Long River Lurker without something else first. I am on the draw, so mulliganing to 6 is not as bad as it would be on the play. We do have our two primary colors, though, and we have 3 lands. So I'm not sure. I should probably try to look for like a Pond Prophet or something. Or maybe Fountain Port Bell or Shoreline Looter. Alright. Okay. I think this is better. Bushy Bodyguard. We can bounce with Long River Lurker if we need to get Long River Lurker into play, and we have Dream Dew Enchancer and Fountain Port Bell. Now, in this case, Fountain Port Bell will have to fix for blue, so we put Builder's Talent on the bottom. But we are going to shuffle the library when we play Fountain Port Bell to find our blue source, so Builder's Talent won't stay on the bottom, so we might still be able to make use of it. Okay, we draw our blue source, so now we can find a white source with Fountain Port Bell. Opponent plays plains on turn 1. Fortunately, they don't have a turn 1 play. Bone Bind Orator. As much as Bushy Bodyguard is more valuable than Bone Bind Orator, maybe I should play it here. I currently don't have any way of foraging, and I don't think I want opponent to be able to just hit me for 2 for several turns with the Bone Bind Orator. Alright. That said, I might still take 2 damage from the Bone Bind Orator because I want Bushy Bodyguard for Long River Lurker and Dream Dew Entrancer. And we're basically trading 2 damage for 2 damage. An opponent did take 2 damage off their Dire Sight. So we're currently ahead in the race. Dire Downdraft. Might as well use its ability, even though we don't get to do Offspring Forage again with it. Star Charter, eh? Okay. Dream Dew Entrancer does have reach. Another reason why I don't necessarily want to trade Bushy Bodyguard for Bone Bind Orator is because Bone Bind Orator gives them value from the graveyard. So I think I'll look for more opportunities to blink the Bushy Bodyguard, or maybe run away together with it. We can attack with Long River Lurker because Bone Bind Orator can't block it, and they're unlikely to block it with the Star Charter. Oh, they do. Well, that's honestly a trade I'm happy to make. Alright, what to tap down with Dream Dew Entrancer? It can block Star Charter, so I think we tap down one of our creatures to draw 2. I think it's Bushy Bodyguard. It blocks the least well. Alright, and we draw Polywallop. My Dream Dew Entrancer also is Ward 1, thanks to Long River Lurker. So it's a little harder to interact with. Okay. Opponent could have any number of tricks that would allow them to trade for my Dream Do and transfer if I block with it. And it's too valuable for that. So I think we take the damage here. And then next turn, if opponent tries it again, we'll have our instant speed removal to blow them out. Drawing another land, not quite what we wanted. But we do have Fountain Port Bell. Starscape Cleric can't block. I think we hold back for now. We can cast both Dire Downdraft if opponent attacks and Polywallop. All right, we'll block here. And then I think we bounce the Starscape Cleric so that they don't gain the life from Sonar Strike or ping me with the Cleric, which they put on the bottom of their library. So we did lose the Dream Do in Transfer, which was unfortunate. But we basically removed two of their creatures. So I think it still worked out. Doing Wave Rider. Kind of want to wait for opponent to have a better target for Polywallop. Like Starseer Mentor. Okay, Polywallop deals damage equal to twice its power to target creature you don't control. Okay, Gossip's Talent, that's useful. Now we can attack with the Long River Lurker. Banishing light. That's really fine. I already got my value off the Daring Wave Rider, so banishing light is kind of closing the barn doors after the horses have got out. Now the only problem is I can't level up Gossip's talent and hold up Runaway together. Opponent, meanwhile, has only drawn 5 lands, so they're pretty lucky. Starscape Cleric with Offspring. Alright, I think we bounce Bushy Bodyguard and the Offspring token, and Polywallop the Starscape Cleric with Long River Lurker. Another Polywallop. I can Offspring Bushy Bodyguard and still hold up Polywallop. I'm just shy of putting +1/+1 counters on both the Bushy Bodyguard and the Offspring. I think I'll put the tokens on the Offspring. Alright. I don't have removal for Banishing Light, so I'm not getting Wave Rider back. So we don't need the instants and sorceries. Alright, Shoreline Looter is definitely worth keeping. They can double block Long River Lurker and only lose 1 Bonebind Orator, so we're not doing that. We'll hold up Polywallop, and then next turn we'll level up Gossip's Talent. Would it kill opponent to hit a land drop for once? So opponent isn't close to enabling Wick, but I think I might still take Wick out here just because it's a good blocker, although I can get past it with Gossip's Talent. So maybe I don't. Yeah, let's be patient. I think that's our last. Yes, that's our last Polywallop, so I think we want to be patient with our removal. Definitely don't. So, um, we'd get more damage in with the token, but I think I want it back on blocks. Um, I don't really need Heaped Harvest, although it would be good to forage with the Bushy Bodyguard if we blink it with Gossip's Talent. All right, I'll keep it. Thinning out the deck probably wouldn't hurt either. Okay, opponent still is all gas. Considered attacking, but reconsiders. I think Daring Wave Rider is my only double blue. Let's get another island. I think we'll wait to level up Gossip's Talent until next turn and hold up Polywallop. I think we'll attack with Bushy Bodyguard for now. I still want to hold back the token as a blocker. And Shoreline Looter, I kind of want to wait until I have a card in hand that I want to discard before I use its ability. I'm looking at their graveyard. They have Hazel's Nocturne. Opponent considers attacking with the Bonebind orders, obviously to get them in the graveyard to get Star Charter back or anything else that gets removed. So I might have to Polywallop the Moonrise Cleric, just because it triggers Starscape Cleric and the Starseer Mentor. Now, unfortunately, I'm not liking our chances, and basically that's only because the opponent never drew lands past turn 5. Okay, so I don't mind discarding Island to Shoreline Looter. So I think we attack with Shoreline Looter this turn and then start attacking with the Bushy Bodyguard token. We'll ditch that. Well, I'm regretting tapping my white mana. Alright, I think I'll just sacrifice Heaped Harvest. Don't tell me opponent still hasn't drawn a land. Alright, well, with my life total the way it is, I kind of have to block here. Alright. Well, opponent could do something at instant speed. Play Starseer Mentor. I think I just froze, so hang on a second. Okay, we're back. Let's sacrifice Heaped Harvest. Doesn't really matter what we get, we'll get another forest, I guess. Another Shoreline Looter. Oh, you know what? I should have gotten the Plains. Mine Drill, Assailant. If it had reach, I think I would keep it, but now I think I want to enable threshold with it. Definitely don't want to flicker the bushy bodyguard. Oh, I should have attacked with the shoreline looter. It has unblockable. Fountain Port Bell. Is actually a useful draw. It's a level up builder's talent. Opponent cannot draw a land. So next turn, I'm going to level up builder's talent, put a +1/+1 counter on one of my shoreline looters, play Fountain Port Bell by playing Fountain Port Bell, fetch a plains, sacrifice Fountain Port Bell, put another level up builder's talent again to level 3, and return another heaped harvest, so that way I can gain more life. And that also puts another +1/+1 counter on my on a shoreline looter. They should have attacked with the Starscape Cleric. Get a plains. Draw the plains. Play the plains. Level up builder's talent. Get heaped harvest. Put a +1/+1 counter on shoreline looter. And we'll thin out the deck some more. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lands, 12, 13 lands. So I have 3 lands left in 10 cards, and I can sacrifice Heap Harvest to gain another 3 life. I think opponent is just dead here, unless they can remove one of my attackers. No, because I want to keep the +1/+1 counters. And of course, we draw 2 of our remaining 3 lands. We also get Helga, although I'm not sure how many creatures I have left to go with her. Bushy Body or Daring Wave Rider. Mind Drill Assailant, Dream Do, Entrancer. Oh, and we drop again. Hang on. All right. So, opponent finally draws a land. So the good news, I guess, is that most of the rest of their deck consists of lands. And the other good news is that Moonrise Cleric is not going to be able to attack. And I have 3 lethal attackers because I can make one of Bushy Bodyguard or Long River Lurker unblockable. So I think, despite our opponent having the advantage of drawing a lot of spells, I think we might just be able to get there. We have, after all, drawn our fair share of cards, and opponent concedes. We got there. Well, there we go. Didn't get Helga until late, but our splash card builder's talent was pretty good for us. Now, if we had fetched a plains with Heaped Harvest before, we would have been able to get builder's talent to level 3 a lot faster, and we might have actually killed the opponent before they conceded. But anyway, it worked out, and both Gossip's talent and Builder's talent proved to be pretty useful. So I'm definitely happy with how things turned out. On we go. On the draw again. And once again, this is a bit of a slow start. I do have Heaped Harvest for some life gain, Dire Downdraft as removal. Runaway Together, of course, we need a creature to go with that. I have Seed Pod Squire on 4, and basically 3 lands with Fountain Port Bell. So I think we'll keep this. I think I will fetch a white source with Fountain Port Bell, because we have more. We do need double blue for Daring Wave Rider, but that's the only card we need double blue for, and we drew our second island for it anyway. Opponent turn 1 mountain, but doesn't have a turn 1 play. Unfortunately, I don't have a turn 2 play, but then again, neither did opponent. Opponent playing blue-red. Alright. So we'll see how this goes. Blue-red is, along with blue-white, one of the weakest archetypes. Okay, Bushy Bodyguard doesn't block Night Whirl Hermit unless we can enable Forage. So I think we Heaped Harvest this turn. I'll get my other white source because, again, we're also likely to draw a forest more like often naturally, and I can always fetch a forest when I sacrifice Heaped Harvest. Kindle Spark Duo. I can Offspring Bushy Bodyguard, but I can only forage once. It's not the most mana efficient play, but I think we play Mind Drill Assailant here as a decent blocker. Alright, opponent starts pinging me with Kindle Spark Duo. They do draw 3 off Mind Spiral. Shoreline Looter, you say? Well, that's going to be great with Seed Pod Squire, and I can cast both. No attacks. I get pinged by Kindle Spark Duo again. Kindle Spark Duo, generally regarded as an underperformer, unless you can find ways of buffing how much damage it does with its activated ability. Opponent does have a lot of card draw. They're playing Grixis. Oh, it looks like they've got another spell. Blacksmith's Talent. I'm hoping they didn't draw removal for either my Shoreline Looter or Seed Pod Squire this turn. They just play another Night Whirl Hermit, so I can hold up Runaway together. I only need one green source, so I think we hold Forest in hand to discard the Shoreline Looter. And here's why Kindle Spark Duo really not that impressive. Opponent has done 4 damage to me with the duo over the course of a couple turns. I think he hit me once with Night Whirl Hermit. I should say. Whereas I'm about to do 5 damage in one attack with Seed Pod Squire and Shoreline Looter. So I get my own card draw spell. Alright, Forest can go. What to play here? Pearl of Wisdom is a sorcery. Alright. Helga and Dream Dew Entrancer. Opponent draws land, plays Stormcatch Mentor. Opponent pings me with Kindle Spark Duo. kind of don't want to tap out in case opponent has an instant speed play, even though it's not the most efficient use of my mana. I'm grateful I didn't have an offspring token in play with Bushy Bodyguard, although I probably would have made the offspring 3/3, so it would have avoided conduct electricity. Not sure what to discard here. I think it's Long River Lurker. It doesn't synergize with Helga, and there aren't creatures. Shoreline Looter can't be blocked anyway. I guess it would be good so I could get an attack in with Mind Drill Assailant. But there's nothing I really want to bounce. And then I think we hold up instant speed removal, or I might sacrifice the Heaped Harvest. I might just Polywallop Shoreline Looter. I mean, they're Mockingbird, that's Shoreline Looter. Let me see. If I sacrifice Heaped Harvest, I'll have 7 lands, so that lets me play Helga and Seed Pod Squire or Dream Dew Entrancer. And Seed Pod Squire can currently block the Shoreline Looter, although they can level up the Blacksmith's talent, so maybe it's just Helga and hold up removal. Daring Wave Rider. Could get back Pearl of Wisdom. Probably prefer to get back Polywallop. Now Mine Drill Assailant and Shoreline Looter are enabled. So opponent hits Harnesser, Storms, enables Night Whirl Hermit, so they can't be blocked now. I'm considering polywalloping one of the Night Whirl Hermits because that also lets me attack in with Mine Drill Assailant. I think we go for it. And we draw another Polywallop. Opponent chumps with Stormcatch Mentor. I've got plenty of cards. I guess I could tap down the Night Whirl Hermit with the Dream Dew Enchanter. That might be better, actually, because I do have plenty of cards in hand. And that removes their unblockable creature for several turns. Opponent empties out their hand. Daring Wave Rider's done its work. So it's during their turn that equipped creatures have double strike and haste. Well, Helga's been going off. No, I should have left Forest untapped, because then I could hold up both copies of Polywop. Opponent does not block. All right, now we can hold up both copies of Polywallop. All right. I should have tapped Helga to cast the Seed Pod Squire because I can't tap her to do anything else. But I'll hold her up as a blocker. Indeed, she can block the Harnesser of Storms. All right. And opponent concedes. Okay. So last game we got to see our Builder's Talent and Daring Wave Rider synergy. We also got to see Daring Wave Rider in action again this game, and it was really good. Helga was really great, gaining us life and drawing us cards. Should have, like I said, should have tapped Helga to cast the Seed Pod Squire, because you can only use her mana to cast creature spells with mana value 4 or greater. So I'll have to remember that for next time, because I could have had more lands untapped for other spells. But we got it done anyway. On we go to the next one. Alright, we're on the play. Oh, yes, one more thing I wanted to say about last game is that you could see how weak Candlespark Duo was. Opponent never really threatened to burn me out with the damage they did, and then Helga basically completely shut them off. As for our hand in this game, I think this is a keeper. Fountain Port Bell can get a blue source. We do need 2 blue sources for Mind Drill Assailant. We can cast Pawn Prophet on 2. Pawn Prophet, obviously not great with Polywallop, but with Fountain Port Bell and Pawn Prophet to draw cards, we're likely to find a bigger creature. Anyway, I think this is a keeper. Oops, almost picked Forest. Opponent doesn't have a turn 1 play. We have a turn 2 play for once. Alright, Heaped Harvest. I can find our other blue source. Opponent plays Life Creed Duo. Draw another land. I could consider polywalloping it with Pawn Prophet, but I think it's better to get Heaped Harvest down. Alright, and this way we'll also be able to play Mind Drill Assailant next turn and sacrifice Fountain Port Bell. Opponent plays land, hits us for 1, plays Thought Stalker Warlock. Well, I guess I should have polywalloped the Life Creed Duo. I think we sacrifice the Fountain Port Bell, see if we get another relevant play. We don't, we get a land. Kind of flooding here. Opponent hits their fourth land. I think we take the damage and then either Polywallop or sacrifice Heaped Harvest at end of turn. I think I'll Heaped Harvest, thin out the deck, so that there's one fewer land for me to draw. So hopefully we draw something other than land next turn. We'll get another white source. Run away together. Well, I'm certainly not bouncing Thoughtstalker Warlock with it. Well, it would be good to pick up Pawn Prophet now and recast it. I think we still hold up our instance and run away together the Life Creed duo at end of turn if they don't play anything more menacing. Hopefully not something with a good enter effect. And of course we draw a land. Pearl of Wisdom. We can cast that and still hold up Polywallop. Land and another Heaped Harvest. I think we hold up Polywallop basically for the Life Creed duo, although we do have lots of cards to discard to Starseer Mentor. And then if we draw during Wave Rider, we can kill Starseer Mentor with Polywallop out of the graveyard. Got plenty of lands to discard. Another Polywallop. And we can hold up Polywallop and sacrifice Heaped Harvest. I don't think we play a land out because we want to have more cards to discard to Starseer Mentor. Unfortunately, I think given how badly we flooded out, I don't think we're winning this game. Pretty much unless we draw Daring Wave Rider next turn. Land. Despite drawing 2 Heaped Harvests and thinning out the deck by 5 lands with Fountain Port Bell and 2 Heaped Harvests, we still only seem to be able to draw lands. We've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So on the bright side, we only have 2 other lands left in 17. So we should be drawing some action, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be good enough here. We're going down to 4. Opponent has another Life Creed Duo. Well, we drew the Daring Wave Rider, but it's too little too late. Because even if I kill the Starseer Mentor with it, I don't have any reach blockers, and they just do this pings me, so I go down to 3. That goes up to 3 power, and that with that and Life Creed Duo, and if they play any other creatures, we're dead. So, oh well, good game. That was unfortunate. On we go. Just to go back to last game, if we had drawn our Daring Wave Rider maybe 3 turns earlier, when we still had a Polywallop in hand, then we might have been able to make some progress since it could have killed both the Starseer Mentor and the Waxwane Witness. But I was still pretty far behind even then. We just drew too many lands. I think this is a keeper. We basically have 3 lands with Fountain Port Bell. We can find our blue source for Shoreline Looter and Pawn Prophet. We are on the draw, but on the other hand, we've won both games we've been on the draw so far and lost the game that we were on the play. So maybe not so important to be on the draw or the play for us. Night Whirl Hermit. Make sure to fetch a blue source. Opponent, white-red, doesn't have a turn to play. That is pretty amazing. Pond Prophet has an immediate impact in that it draws me a card, but Shoreline Looter can start attacking. So I think it's Shoreline Looter and hope they don't have a Take Out the Trash. They don't have a Take Out the Trash. Could have Playful Shove. I forget if it's instant or sorcery speed. That would be pretty bad for me. Opponent plays Flowerfoot Swordmaster with Offspring. I think it's got to be the other Shoreline Looter because I kind of need the Night Whirl Hermit and Lightshell Duo as big blockers. Pawn Profit for value, and I want to keep my interaction. So unfortunately, Shoreline Looter it is. Next turn, if we draw land, we play Lightshell Duo. If we don't, we play Pawn Profit and sacrifice Fountain Port Bell to draw some cards. Thistledown players is a mouse. We do draw our fourth land. Neither of these can kill Thistledown players with Polywallop. Seed Pod Squire. That's really good with the Shoreline Looter. Is it Pawn Profit? We might not have time to fit Pawn Profit in. Could be Dire Downdraft. I think with Shoreline Looter, it's Pawn Profit here. We'll play Lightshell Duo. Alright, I do want to draw another land, and I do like Gossip's Talent. So, I'm not sure how much we'll be able to block if opponent attacks with everything. Although the Flowerfoot Swordmaster and its offspring are pretty small. I don't think we can block Thistledown players until we have some interaction up. Opponent does not attack. They're holding up 5 mana, so I don't think we attack with Night Moral Hermit. Really can't attack until it gets unblockable on this board anyway. And Lightshell Duo, I want to tap out for Seed Pod Squire, not for Polywallop or Dire Downdraft. So, oh, Polywallop. I think it's Dire Downdraft. Opponent has something they can do for 5. Could be Conduct Electricity. It is Conduct Electricity. At least they don't get the token value off it. Opponent up to 6. Plays Bramble Guard Captain. Alright, so we're going to have to Polywallop that. Opponent does not attack. I really want to hit a land so I can play, I guess it'll be Builder's Talent first, and hold up Polywallop. Unfortunately, I think it's Polywallop. I think Gossip's Talent and Builder's Talent help me win here. Getting another blocker doesn't hurt, and I don't mind chump blocking with the wall. Unfortunately, I don't have a frog on board for Polywallop to be discounted, so we are shields down. Alright, so we're going to take 6. Okay, we're going to take 12. Nope. That gives all mice we control. Yeah, so this is where not drawing the land. Opponent should have targeted one of these with the Thistledown player's ability. So we're taking 1, 7, 8, 9, 13. All right. Would love to play Gossip's Talent, but I need to hold up Polywallop here. After what happened last turn, we would have taken a whole lot less damage if we had been able to cast a Polywallop. Humbleflower's Share Pot. I can't activate it this turn. Okay. So we have to trade the Light Shell duo here. Unfortunately, they buffed Mousetrapper's power. They actually made the correct play to target the Swordmaster, which they should have done last turn. Opponent has something they can do at instant speed, but that could just be sacrificing the food. Okay. Actually, no, we don't want to tap. Actually, we do need to. So we can't play Mind Drill Assailant. And once again, I think we hold up Polywallop. We can get a Foundport Bell back with Builder's Talent. Opponent. Alright, so their Rockface Village doesn't tap for non-creature spells. Brambled Guard Captain is the biggest threat because it can trigger their other mice. So I think we kill that. Helga, you say? Alright, unfortunately, we haven't drawn. I wish one of these forests were an island, because then I could play Helga and Mind Drill Assailant. Can't play Helga and activate Builder's Talent. I can play Helga and activate Gossip's Talent. Bushy bodyguard. The problem with that is that if I enable offspring, I think I still keep it because it creates multiple blockers. That's a problem. So I lose my Helga. All right, heaped harvest. Can I play that and still offspring bushy bodyguard? I can. We also trigger Builder's Talent. I must have discarded my other planes. We'll get an island. And then we can sacrifice the heaped harvest to Bushy Bodyguard's offspring and still forage and not lose threshold. All right, we can't get back creatures, but we can get back removal and our non-creature, non-land permanents. So I don't want to draw Heaped Harvest, but putting it in the graveyard is good value. All right, so that was great. Opponent, again, tapped out for combat tricks because their only untapped land is Rockface Village, so these are trades. And I don't think I mind making them. I could get a heaped harvest back to put another counter on shoreline looter, and I could use the life gain. Daring Wave Rider lets me polywall up the pileated provisioner, so I think that's the play here. Uh, I guess that means I can replay the Daring Wave Rider. All right, so opponent hit us really hard that one turn. Yeah, I'll keep a Dream, Do, and Transfer on top. All right, let's play it safe and hold up 2 blockers. We've got opponent on a 2-turn clock. Don't need Fountain Port Bell. And we have Heaped Harvest to gain 3 life. Opponent plays Intrepid Rabbit, but not for its offspring cost. All right, we have 3 cards left, so I actually have to try and win this game right away. And I think I do it by bouncing their only blocker. That's why they didn't want to offspring the intrepid rabbit. Well, good thing I bounced their blocker. All right, there we go. So our card advantage got us there, despite taking the big hit that one turn because we weren't able to hold up Polywallop. And so far, we're 3 for 3 on the draw and 0 for 1 on the play. So maybe being on the draw isn't so bad after all. On we go. Okay. So we're on the play, and I don't love that with this hand because we have to mulligan. We only have forests and all blue spells. If I had a Heat Harvest or a Fountain Port Bell, I would keep, but we can't keep this. So we're going to have to go down to 6. Now, on the bright side, we do have a fair amount of card draw, so a mulligan isn't going to kill us if we can get some card draw going. Okay, and I think we keep this. We're going to have to play Bushy Bodyguard on 2 to get our creature down, but we can always bounce it with Runaway together to play for Offspring later. Builder's Talent is just going to have to be stranded, but I guess we can put it bottom Builder's Talent then. And hope to get a Fountain Port Bell or Heaped Harvest soon so that we can shuffle our library and get Builder's Talent back, not right on the bottom. Would have loved to start with Pond Prophet. Opponent leads with Forest. Need to draw another land for Seed Pod Squire and Polywallop. Opponent is also blue-green, plays Thornvault Forager. Do I bounce the Forager? That would mean I'm not wasting my mana. I guess I can always bounce whatever they ramp into. Opponent does not attack and does nothing. All right. They could be holding up Dazzling Denial or Long River's Pull. What do I not mind getting countered? I think I like getting Seed Pod Squire down, so maybe it's Light Shell Duo? Well, here goes nothing. It resolves. I kind of like drawing a land. That means it's more likely I'll be able to pay for Dazzling Denial. Oh, they had a counterspell, and they decided to draw 2 instead. Well, I think I'll take it. All right. Well, Splash Lasher, definitely annoying, but they only got in for 2 damage. Obviously, I can't attack with Bushy Bodyguard, but they're also tapped out, so I can resolve Seed Pod Squire. No attacks. I think I do have to take the hit if they attack with Splash Lasher, especially if they have open mana. Well, that was a bit of a blowout. Another 4-drop, not really what I wanted to see. I have to draw these in this order, because if I play Heaped Harvest, then Daring Wave Rider gets shuffled back into the deck. Ooh, Lily Splash Mentor. Alright, well, that has to go while opponent's tapped out. I will have to take a hit from the Splash Lasher. No blocks. Alright, we're still... If I'd had more card draw, I'd be a lot happier, but we're still not in terrible shape. 3-Tree Scribe is fine. Sticky Tongue Sentinel. That's obnoxious. They're also close to enabling Threshold for Mind Whisker. Let's get a white source. Shuffle our deck. We've got Runaway together. Now, the only problem is they're going to be able to tap both of my creatures with the Splash Lasher. Don't really want to bounce the Sticky Tongue Sentinel. There's Splash Lasher. With Offspring. What to bounce here? I think it has to be one of the attackers. The only problem is it also triggers 3-Tree Scribe. Alright. We're down to 2. I can play 1 blocker, kill the Sticky Tongue Sentinel, and die to all of their attackers. If I had had 1 more land, I could play Daring Wave Rider and sacrifice Heap Harvest, although I don't think that would have been good enough. So I think, unfortunately, we're lost. Yeah, we're not going to win this one. So, once again, it turns out that being on the play was a disadvantage for us, and opponent hitting their land drops was really good for them because they were able to cast their humongous spells and tempo us out. Well, on the bright side, we have won our 3 games, so if that's as good as we do, that's about as good as I thought the deck was going to be. So anything else we do from here is gravy. On we go. Okay, we're on the play again, which, as we have seen, hasn't always been great. On the bright side, we do have Shoreline Looter on 2, and that's a great play to make on the play. We're also going to be able to thin out the deck and with Heaped Harvest and Fountain Port Bell. And I think I do get a land with Fountain Port Bell. I think I get a second island for double blue. Probably not looking so good with a Shoreline Looter, but I think this is still keepable. Opponent mulligans, I think. Yep. So that's a good sign for us. We'll get our other blue source. Play Shoreline Looter on 2. Opponent with a tap land on red on turn 1. Hopefully they don't have Playful Shove or take out the trash for my Shoreline Looter. Another white-red deck. No turn 2 play. Bushy Bodyguard. All right, Night Whirl Hermit. That could be fine. I want to keep the land. I think it's Heaped Harvest this turn, and then Bushy Bodyguard, forage the Heaped Harvest next turn. So I think it is the Night Whirl Hermit that goes. Let's get double green. Opponent didn't make any turn 2 play. They play Mabel on turn 3. Pawn Profit, that's nice. So we sacrifice Fountain Port Bell, draw land, then we attack with the Shoreline Looter to put another card in graveyard so we can enable forage twice on Bushy Bodyguard. And we get to discard a land. Let's see, I want to have Heaped Harvest. I think I want to have Heaped Harvest in graveyard for if I get Builder's Talent. So I think we exile these 3 cards. We'll get our second white source. All right, I think if they attack with Mabel, I think we have to let her through because we don't have instant speed interaction up, and they might. Builder's Talent, you say? All right, can I play Builder's Talent and Pawn Profit and hold up Polywallop? Polywallop will only cost 3 with Pawn Profit in play, so I can. All right, opponent has something they can do at instant speed. Unless, of course, I've disconnected again. This could be the combat trick. Okay, it is opponent. So I think that's a combat trick. Could be Might of the Meek, although that doesn't buff toughness. Could be Crumb and Get It, I should say. And that's good because it can give a creature indestructible. Another Fountain Port Bell. All right, well, I think we play Builder's Talent this turn. And we'll hold up Polywallop. And then next turn, we'll level up Builder's Talent, play Fountain Port Bell so we can put a counter on Shoreline Looter. I don't think I search up a land, or maybe I do search up a land, because then I can draw it and discard it with the Shoreline Looter. Okay, opponent plays Veteran Guard Mouse. All right, so we'll Polywallop the Veteran Guard Mouse. While they're tapped out. No attacks with Mabel, because they just trade for my Bushy Bodyguard. Blinking Pawn Prophet seems pretty nice to me. All right. So unfortunately, we're shields down. Guard can blow up Builder's Talent. I can only level up talents at sorcery speed. I think I'm fine with that. Well, oh, okay. I'll take it. On we go. On the play. Only 2 lands, but I do have Shoreline Looter, and I can loot away these Heaped Harvests if I don't find green for them. Need to find an instant or sorcery to go with Daring Wave Rider. Long River Lurker, not great with Shoreline Looter because Shoreline Looter is already unblockable. I think this is still keepable. Opponent leads with a swamp, plays Ruthless Negotiation. Now, unfortunately, this exiles, so I won't be able to get the Heaped Harvest back from the graveyard. So hopefully we get to play the other one. And I'm definitely counting on them not having removal for Shoreline Looter here. They don't. Fountain Port Bell. Land would have been better. Builder's Talent. Alright, I think it's Long River Lurker since it doesn't work. It would be nice with Daring Wave Rider, but it doesn't work with what we have in play. And if we keep Fountain Port Bell, we can fetch a land and play Builder's Talent. Actually, no, because we need to draw the land with our second mana. So we can't quite play Builder's Talent. Get a forest. I think I might play Heaped Harvest next turn, even though Night Whirl Hermit would be good as a blocker, because I really want to get as many lands in play as possible so I can dump out my hand before they can flashback Ruthless Negotiation. I may still have to discard Daring Wave Rider to Shoreline Looter. Opponent doesn't have any plays. I could play Builder's Talent, but that would be pretty inefficient. Or one of Night Whirl Hermit, or if I play Heat Harvest, then even if I don't draw a land, I can still play Night Whirl Hermit and Builder's Talent next turn. Looks like opponent doesn't hold priority, so they don't have any instant speed plays. All right, another island. I think we discard that. We might draw another land anyway. Now, oh, there goes my shoreline looter. Well, he got some good work done. Opponent plays their own heaped harvest. All right, so that means that they can flash back. Ruthless negotiation. I still get to choose what to discard or exile. And I think it might have to be Daring Wave Rider. Get our second white source so we can play Builder's Talent and level it up. If I play Seed Pod Squire and Polywallop or Builder's Talent, then they probably just exile Polywallop. I really need to kill Camellia. So unfortunately, I think it's let Builder's Talent go if they play Ruthless Negotiation. Okay, that actually works because now they can't cast Ruthless Negotiation. They could level up Bandit's Talent. All right. Okay, so they could take Dire Downdraft with ruthless negotiations, but that's acceptable, and they do. Druid of the Spade. I think we get back a Heaped Harvest here and put a +1/+1 counter on the Night Whirl Hermit. Now, it doesn't have Unblockable. Opponent is tapped, doesn't have any cards in hand. All right. I don't think we play out any of these lands. As long as opponent didn't draw removal, they're dead next turn. Okay, opponent attacks all and concedes. Well, there we go. We finally won a game on the play. And we beat Bandit's talent, for which I'm incredibly happy because I hate discard. On we go. We also rank up into gold. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think I can keep this. I am on the draw, so that mitigates going down to 6 somewhat. If I'd had Fountainport Bell, I would definitely be keeping, and you can see Fountainport Bell is not a great card in Bloomburrow Draft, but when a deck wants it, it really wants it. And I could have used, if I'd had one of these cards was a Fountainport Bell, I'd probably keep this hand, especially if it was Fountainport Bell and Heaped Harvest. But as it is, I don't think I can keep it. We're 2 lands from Lightshell Duo or Mind Drill Assailant, so that means we might not make a play until turn 4, and that's assuming we draw our lands in time. Alright. I don't like this, but at least we have Night Whirl Hermit and Pearl of Wisdom to draw, and Dire Downdraft as interaction. And we'll have to send Polywall up to the bottom, because I can't cast it. Also, it's not really good with Night Whirl Hermit. Opponent leads with Island, plays Storm Chaser's talent. We do draw Daring Wave Rider. Storm Chaser's talent, opponent's blue-black, so that's actually a good spells deck. We draw a Forest. All right, well, we're hitting our lands. Opponent has something they can do at instant speed, but doesn't, so it might not be a counter spell. Um, they could have Scales of Shale. In which case, I want to block the Assassin, because that goes up to a 4-power creature. All right, so I think I do get a white source with Fountain Port Bell and then draw it with Pearl of Wisdom. Well, we're flooding out a bit, so this could be the end of the line. Well, all these extra lands were good for something. Maybe opponent doesn't have Scales of Shale. All right. So I think this is it. Opponent got off to too fast to start, curving out 1, 2, 3, 4 on the play, and with an Agate Blade Assassin that we couldn't answer. So I would have to play Daring Wave Rider to get back Dire Downdraft to bounce the Agate Blade Assassin because it can kill me by attacking me, but that still leaves them with 3 attackers, one of which I would have to double block. So I'm letting at least 2 other creatures through, or 1 other creature through. So unfortunately, this is the end of the line. We actually got pretty lucky in that We didn't face too many decks that curved out as well as this one did when we were on the draw in previous games, but it was bound to happen eventually, and unfortunately, we didn't have the hand to answer a perfect curve out. So that's going to be it. We definitely did better than I thought we would. We got 5 wins, which means that we made more gems than we spent to enter the event. So you can't complain with that result. As Sirkavet said in one of his podcasts, he'll take 5-3 every time. So I'm pretty happy with how this deck turned out. We didn't have much of a chance that last game, and I think that the other games we lost, we also didn't have much of a chance in. And we managed to win lots of games. And despite the fact that I said at the start that we didn't perfectly synergize with any one of our synergy pieces, Daring Wave Rider, Helga, or Builder's Talent, we still made them work when we drew them. I mean, except for that one game where Helga was killed because of opponent's pump spells. But Builder's Talent, every time we played it, it was good. Even the one time when we leveled it up and in response opponent destroyed it with their Nettle Guard, whatever it's called, it was still good because it meant that we could play Gossip's Talent and have that go unmolested. And Wave Rider, we ditched it that one game, and it came too late for us in a couple games. Like one of the game we lost to the other blue-green deck, and then this one against the black-blue deck. But it definitely was very good in other games where we drew it when we needed it, and it got back a Polywallop, for example, which I think we cast with it most of the time. Fountainport Bell, better than it looked in this deck. We were always happy to see one in our opening hand. Heaped Harvest, also better than it looked in this deck. It helped us enable Forage a few times on Bushy Bodyguard, and it got lands out of the deck, which was good, because we definitely drew a lot of lands in a lot of our games. It didn't help that the first game we lost, where all we ever did was draw lands, even thinning out the deck with Fountainport Bells and Heaped Harvests. But that happens sometimes. Seed Pod Squire, great with the Shoreline Looter, or Night Whirl Hermit when it was unblockable. Mindrill Assailant was fine because it worked with Helga, and I think the one game we played it, did its job as a roadblock. Dream Dew Entrancer was as advertised. Pawn Prophet was great. Shoreline Looter was great. Light Shell Duo did its job as a big blocker. Polywallop, because we actually had frogs in this deck, we often got a discount, which was great. Dire Downdraft was fine. Pearl of Wisdom was good. And then Builder's Talent and Gossip's Talent both did really well in our deck. Runaway Together was fine. So, all in all, this deck exceeded my expectations. We got 5 wins, and I'm really happy with how things turned out. So, I hope you enjoyed watching. If you thought I should have made any different decisions in the draft or made any different plays, let me know in the comments. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. And don't forget, my brother is also a content creator on YouTube. He features videos of board game gameplay, mostly of strategy war games, so that new players can get a sense of how the games work. And it's also a learning experience, great learning experience, even for someone who has experience with them, because you can see how things go differently. So I commend that to you, and a link will be in the description. Anyway, thanks again. Bye.